Welcome to today's episode of the Convo. And Convo is the place where we discuss about faith, kingdom, and lifestyle. So today we have a very interesting conversation again, as always. Today we're going to be talking about the identity. The identity. It's quite ambiguous, but we're going to break it down for you before the end of the episode. And like always, I have some amazing people in the studio here today to dissect this conversation together with me. And on my left, I have the delectable, the Afro Queen, the Gen Z millennial vibe mama in the house. So can you go ahead, please? Let's meet you.
It's good to be here again.
Yeah.
My name is Dorothy, and of praise.
All right, great. And then we have our gentleman there, even though not so gentle, but we can hear from him.
Why can't you introduce me? It's pride. Your pride is too much. Okay, my name is Unachi Sunday. They call me Fresh Boy on radio.
All right, so and we have there was one English that Chris used at the last episode to describe people of this amazing stature. But go ahead, can we meet you, please?
I would say my name is, at first, let me begin with Miss Petite.
Oh.
And then let me now wrap it up with Miss Aisha the Petite.
Okay, we'll go with that. Isn't she beautiful? All right, so on to my right again, then we have
Juliet Mba Johnson, the Jews of Africa.
only one Jews. Another
Just
one.
Counterfeit.
It's a quantity.
It's a counterfeit.
All right, let's meet
It's
you.
good to be back on the Convo. My name is Christopher Amosan.
All right, great. Good to have you guys back. And how are you enjoying the season already? So last conversation was interesting, and we see the numbers running out up on our YouTube page, and we're getting some cash on that already.
And I think they should subscribe. To
Yeah.
the channel.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel and put up the
Notification
notification
button.
so when the new episode drops, so you can be notified So today we're going to be going into this conversation straight up. The identity. Now, I'm going to create a bit of premises here. So I will be reading from a dictionary. So it said, identity is a set of qualities, beliefs, qualities in plural now, beliefs, personality traits, appearance, and all expression that characterize a person or a group. So having that state out, I will want to ask every one of us now. I will be starting from my left. What's your own understanding or view of identity? So I'll go with Onachi first.
I don't know why you're starting with me, because I have powerful, highly intellectual individuals here. Identity. I think I want to break it into two. Identity. I don't know if it makes any sense. Identity is the conscious awareness of who you are. It's the self-realization of your person, your character, your ambitions, everything that makes you a person. When you are able to identify it, then you find your identity.
You can't be like say more right hand down. Don't think
So that you
down.
can take things.
So I didn't choose wrongly. I started with him. So can you go over it again, sir? We missed some things.
Well, you have to pay. By the way, we didn't prepare for this topic. You just told us why we came here. So, like I said, identity is self-awareness of who you are, identifying things that makes you you. The reason why there's an ID card is because we are all different. Your ID card defines you. It has your name, it has maybe blood group, it has where you work and all of those information. So identity is recognizing you. So you owe yourself a responsibility to find you and know you so that you can become a full expression of you.
Great. I like that. There's no other way to that. So I want to hear from you the word identity. Your own understanding of that topic.
I would say identity is what makes you. So it's a combination of different things, from your looks to how you speak to how you work to your character, how you think. All of these things makes up what can characterize me as Juliet. What makes me Jules is how I speak. I speak differently from Aisha, so it makes me Jules. I act differently from Aisha, it makes me Jules. And so if I know all of this, I'm either a outspoken person or I'm either extroverted or introverted. So all of these tiny things, I would say it's what makes up an identity. So it's a function of the tiny things that makes up a person: your looks, your character, your abilities, and talents. So all of those things makes up your identity.
Great. I like that. So I like the identity of what you're looking like already. So let me hear from Dorothy. What do you want to contribute in this, the meaning and then the understanding of identity?
I think the people who went before me have pretty well done justice to the definition of what identity is. It's actually your knowledge of you, what you are in yourself. And a lot of times there's also a clash between what you know yourself to be and what people perceive you to be. And then there is this struggle to reconcile that. Or either, for some people, they know that, okay, whatever anybody thinks of me is what they think of me. This is who I am. This is what I know that I am. So there is that. And I would also like to say that for a lot of times, the understanding of the job that you need to do to live in the full knowledge of who you are is where the problem usually stems from, because a lot of people don't put in that investment. So I don't know if any of us has heard the story of the eagle who grew up amongst the chicks, Yeah, so the egg of the eagle was taken and, placed among chicks, and it was hatched just like the other chickens, grew up like the chickens, acted like them. And of course, you'll be limited in your thoughts. If you are an eagle that grew up amongst chicks, you would not know that you could fly, you could soar so high. Mm-hmm. Your vision would be, as per excellent. And one day the little eagle saw an eagle flying overhead. I was like, oh, I wish I could fly like that, or things like. And the mother chick, the one who has nursed this eagle to that age, it's pretty funny, right? To me, how a lot of times we don't even know what we are, what we could be, what can come out of us, just owing to identity, not knowing the fullness of who you are or who you can be. There's just a lot tied to it. Yeah. And if people could just search inwards, it's not just enough to know the dictionary meaning or, the head knowledge of, identity is who I am. Some of these things that you think you are may just have been picked up. Yeah. You may not even have been living in the fullness of who you are originally designed to be. It could be as a result of the society where you were brought up, the people, the circumstances, the experience that have summed up to make you, could even give you an identity that may not even be you. Yours, yeah. Yeah, so these are some of the issues when it comes to identity.
Great. So it's a great opening. So, but before we go forward, I want to hear from Aisha. So what's your own understanding of the word identity?
Are you sure I'm going to forgive you for,
saying what you are meant
through my mind? I will think about that. But then, let me just rephrase all they've said. Mm-hmm. Identity for me, it's a conscious awareness. Mm-hmm. A conscious awareness of who you are, your personality. The legend, you are not strong. I'll tell you that. But you as a person, you're going to confirm consciously. You will have to confirm with yourself if you are strong,
strong
or you are not strong. That proves that you know your identity. I am not to define your identity for you. So I think it's a conscious confirmation. It's
more
a personal
personal
thing.
thing,
Yes.
yeah.
I might maybe growing up, my mom might say, okay, this girl, you're this, you're that. I'll have to prove her that I am what she's saying and I'm not what she's saying. So it's a conscious.
All right.
It's a conscious
I
thing.
like the notes where we are starting from. It's beautiful. So this is what I want to ask again now. Whose responsibility now, is it society or parents that actually informed or influence the kids or the offspring's identity? Is that clear? Now, is it the parents or the society that influence or informed or transfer or help the offspring, the kids, come to the knowledge of their identity? It's a bit complex, but we're going to talk about it very well. The reason why I'm saying this is because we have a whole lot of people in the society presently that have misplaced identity. Now, the case of misplaced identity is a function of two things. One, societal influence, wrong societal influence. Then secondly, parental negligence. Do you understand? So I want us to talk on that now. So I want to take you up on that, Chris. So whose function is it to actually help a child? Because see, we cannot really fully delve into this conversation if we don't talk from the growing stage. I like the example she shared, that story of a baby eagle, right? Which was in the midst of the chick and he didn't know. So is it society? Now, that society now I'm talking in expense of environment, background, whatever thing you can put into that context of society. Then parents now in terms of influence, direct and indirect influence. It could be teachers, it could be parent guardians. So is it society, environment, or people as it's where?
Okay, so this is my perspective of this thing. She said something about identity. She said what you think of yourself and what the society think of you. I think those are the two branches to identity. Your personal identity and the social, societal identity. The personal identity is what you think of yourself. The societal identity is what people think about you. And I think it stems from self-awareness, an understanding of what's your strength, maybe you've done your SWOT analysis, that's your strength, your weakness, all those things.
Opportunities and threats.
Yeah, things. So that's what's that's what determines how you approach things. And then I would say that for identity, we're a product of our experiences. You can have two people. I've read the story, I can't remember very well. Two guys that have a drunkard father. They turned out differently. One became a drunkard, followed the steps of the father, and said, because I see my father, growing up, I saw my father drink. And so he started drinking too. The other person said, I don't want to follow in the footsteps of my father. I saw what my father was like. I don't want to turn out like that. And I decided not to be a drunkard. So we are not really good. Yeah, the society, parents have a part to play, in terms of things like confidence. So you see children. There was something we were discussing about, an informal discussion, and we're talking about the things the parents forced us to do. You can't go out and play outside. And someone said the parents made them play with toys. And she was saying that it affected some of the ways they approach things. So as much as the parents have a part to play, there are still ways you, personally, as children or as adults even, there are ways you react to those things that the parents do. So at a point in my life, I remember that I'm the first child. So there's a whole lot of responsibility on me. There are things that I expected of you to do as as the first child. And then at the point in time, I felt the complaints were too much. So instead of yielding to, turning a new leaf, I just took a step back from responsibilities in the house. It wasn't good, though. But I took I just took a step back. And I remember my 20th birthday, my dad called me into his room after morning devotion, and we started to talk. He was having a conversation with me, and I realized some things. And I decided that, okay, I am going to do better. I'm going to make some decisions. As much as I'm not going to go back to that initial phase where I used to be, but I was going to make decisions. So 2 things there. The things that were said initially, how I reacted to that, and how my father handled it. It's reposed a kind of confidence in me and puts a sense of responsibility back on me. So the identity now is how I want to paint this picture so that I don't have the ink everywhere, so to say. I got to realize, after processing every of the things that were said, I got to realize that no matter what, I'm at the front. I'm the front runner or whatever it is. So there are things that my siblings will be looking at. So responsibility has put me in the mold, shaping my identity. Right. So for example, there are things that you would say that pastors cannot do. There are things you will say leaders cannot do. And that's, you see some things and you hear people say, and you call yourself a Christian. It is just because of the identity that you expected to have. So, because that expectation puts a cage around you.
All right.
So you don't tend to behave crazily, just anyhow, in any way. Mm-hmm. So you've just put yourself in that. So the society has a part to play.
Yeah.
And you yourself have a part to play.
I like that. So we all can agree to that fact that society have an influence in shaping our identity. Likewise, our guardians or those that have direct or indirect influence.
So let me just
on
add
us.
something quickly.
All right, great.
In
but
psychology,
then, why is the conversation is looking so serious? Is it because it's identity? Why is your face so strong?
I think it's an important conversation.
Yeah, but even though, in as much as it's important, the tension is too high.
No, there's actually no tension. There's no tension. I think whatever we see in our society is a product of identity. Mm-hmm. What do I mean? Identity shapes people.
That's right.
Identity places an expectation on you as a person, and the society wants something from you.
That's right.
True.
So if we see good or bad, this all tied down to one thing. And like we said, influence. While he was talking, thoughts were running through my mind. When you say in, it's something going inside. Mm-hmm. And affluence, just remove the A that is behind. You're automatically influenced. It means that what you get in projects outside. Right. So, however, how do I even say this? Now, your parents are there to guide you and shape a path you should go. That's why the Bible says, train up a child the way he should go. But your parents will not be able to help you to identify you. They'll give you a guide that this is what should be and this is not what should be. I have a principle I work with, that whatever you become in life, you don't blame your parents for it because they've created a path. Sometimes I know they are parental negligence, all right? But you owe yourself a responsibility to be responsible for yourself first, and responsible to the society, and then the world in general. If we say someone is bad, like you gave I don't know who gave the instance of 2 brothers, one was, the other. It's a self-awareness, a decision they made. This one thought this part, well, let me just follow. It's a decision. This other one also took it. One thing I've also realized at the end of why I say this is an important topic is that God has placed before us a choice to make. One thing God always allows us to do is a choice. He said, choose ye this day. He didn't say you must choose. It allows you to make a decision. So whatever happens in our society today is a product of self-awareness of who you are and what you want to become. Your parents and other persons can only do a little until you sit by yourself and tell yourself, this thing that I'm doing does not add to me. I want to change it. That's self-awareness. That's you correcting an identity that people have known you with to become a better person.
Great, I like that. Dorothy, you wanted to share something that time.
Yeah, but that's, in fact, I just have other things in my head right now. So when he was talking, I remembered the psychology conversation about nature versus nurture. Yes, so there's always that argument till today, as I'm speaking to you now. Well, maybe in the last 10 minutes, I don't know what has happened. I've not checked online, but it is still on.
Yeah.
They're still arguing who is responsible. Is it nature? Is it nurture? And that the nurture now, that's why parental factors come in and all of that. But even at that, say, we don't talk about parental nurture. You know, you cannot give what you don't have. So even so even as parents who are guiding you on where to go or how to go, they can only do to the limit of what they know and understand. You know?
Yeah.
So it's big. And even at that point where it is demanded of them to teach you the way to go, you are also picking up characters from them. It could be through DNA, or it could even be through their actions. You know, just there and then. In their minds, they will tell you, don't sit there. But you're seeing them sitting there. Mama, you're there. Why are you telling me to not be there? You know, especially with generation.
That's the nature.
Nature to rebel.
Yes.
That was good, which was the case of responsibility.
Yeah. Right. At some point, it becomes your responsibility to choose or not. But then again, before we get to that, right, build up to that, you know, I think legally, we are only held by our actions at the age of 18, right? That's legally. Biologically, I think it's 12 or 13 thereabouts. Spiritually, it is from the moment you begin to, or the moment you confess Jesus. The moment so you could be at 50.
Society influencing the definition of identity in a group of people or an individual, and also direct influence. Direct influence, I mean now the guardians, parents, teachers, peer groups, having direct influence on people in shaping what their identity becomes. Now, this is the twist. Are you ready for this? Are you sure you're ready? Sit properly. I don't want this conversation to be too serious, but as much as it's going to be a serious conversation, douse the tension so they can pick you. You understand? So one thing Onachi said that I want to pick from is, who should we blame for a bad outcome of a person in terms of misplaced identity? Now, I'll drive it home. He mentioned a sense of responsibility, no doubt. But I'll be on this part of this conversation that somebody needs to have a fair share of this blame. In a way, right? Either the person or the society. Now, in the case of the society now, the person allowing society to define him or her, right? Then, him or her, I'm coming. Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Yes, Papa.
Yes, Papa.
I'm looking at all the colors in the screen.
We are getting there. But then, who should take this responsibility now? Who should be blamed for bad turnout? Now, there was a story of a thief sometime. I don't know if it's a folktale, but I'll try and just paraphrase. The guy get engaged into, he became a big, popular, industrial arm robber, right? So a notorious one, right? So large scale. So when he finally was caught, then when they wanted to execute him, so he said they should get him his mom, and he beat the head of the ears of the mom, and he said she's the one that she didn't tell him, she didn't reframe him. He said he started stealing meat from the pot, and I know some of us here did that, but thank God we didn't take our own further. right? So, but really, the reason why I paraphrase that story is, yeah, he turned out to become a thief, no doubt. But at that crucial point in his life, it's a matter of life and death. He's dying. But he transferred that guilt into the mother. She will never forgive herself. Really, but in the real sense of it, there was a lot of responsibility on the guy himself too. Because at some point, you are not living with this woman anymore. Yeah. Right? So you were also meant to be. So, but let's talk about that. Who is taking, yes, we know he's someone. But the truth is, there were great influence, like what he mentioned, that there were great influence in people. Right? As much as pastors have influence on people, the followers. The followers and leadership strategy still works. Right? So who can we, I want to hear from you, please,
Okay,
Aisha.
so let me use myself as a case study.
Point of contact.
Growing up, I know this talk show cuts across sex, relationship, and all of that. So let me pick an aspect. Growing up, I was meant to understand that when you hug a man, you're already pregnant.
Amen. Amen.
Do you
Amen.
understand?
Amen. Amen.
I don't know, the whole doctrine, and even at age 17, I was still scared of shaking a man's hand.
He's very fertile. Don't touch him.
Do you get?
Casted.
And that's because
You don't want to go home with
they will
triplets.
tell me when you hug a man or when you shake a man,
Yeah.
something has happened.
Already.
Something there's something has gone out of, and
Mama, can you continue?
and then I think when I got to 18, when I was little, I wasn't allowed to really have relationship with people in the society. You get just family. I was really kept away from society. So I didn't really have any influence from the society, except for parents, religion, doctrines, fanatic, all of it.
Yeah.
Those were the things that built me. It was until I got to age 18, 19, 20, when I had a little opportunity to get into the society. That was when I got exposed.
Society or in the world? Which one? You left
World.
the house to the world. Let's be no. You went.
It didn't stop there.
You went to the world.
Okay, to the world. It didn't stop there. Getting into the world, the pressure was something else. So I had to sit myself down like, okay, what my parents were stopping me from getting. These people are telling me this. And this was what my parents were saying. So who is now right?
Yeah.
Is it my parents or I'm
society.
seeing a proof from the society? So could it be that what my parents have been saying it's all lies until I became a Christian? So being a Christian, this was what I learned. Sit with the word and get your identity by yourself. That's why I said it's a confirmation. It's a conscious confirmation.
Yeah.
Do you get? Okay, fine. At this point, my parents were one side, the society one side. So this is what they always tell me, Aisha, you're this, you're that. As a child, you have to do it. But sitting with the word, I got to know that, oh, Aisha, you can actually do this. It's not even your parents that has defined who you are. It is the word. So that was why I glued to the word.
As they beheld, they
Great.
became.
I would like
In
to hear, Dorothy, please share your view on that.
Okay, so your question is that who takes the blame? You see, there is something called escapism in psychology, right? There are different defense mechanisms people build. Sigmund Freud, proven, right? Yes. You see, I think it is a very lazy explanation that an adult, before we went on the break. Cowardice, yes. There was something I was trying to say that for legal conversations, 18 is the cutoff mark. Biology is about 12 because for girls, puberty has set in. For boys, and so on and so forth. For Christianity, salvation, the moment you confess Jesus as your Lord and Savior, there's a shift in the spirit for you, and so on and so forth. At some point in your life, you become responsible for yourself first. You owe yourself. if we want to blame society, blame society. Do you know that people have gone through maybe much worse than you have, but they have chosen. There is always the choice. They have chosen to walk a different path. So whatever explanation you hold may not actually hold water. So I remember, I think in 400 level, when I was in school, a man, he was my classmate, but I mean, he was a man because he was above the 18-year mark, right? 18-year-old mark.
So he's a full-grown man that can go into prison.
Thank you, sir. And he goes, that he's so mad at his father that his father something. Now, I didn't want to be a part of the conversation, but thankfully, another classmate of ours was standing there, and she said, "Baba, I beg, stop that thing. Your father don't do it, your mother don't do it." And as I said earlier, you need to at some point, you even need to begin to make explanation. You need to give them, you know how you make room, you make excuses for people. You need to start making excuses even for your parents. Because you cannot give what you don't have. Your parents too cannot give you what they do not have. The extent to which they trained you is what they had. Some mothers, sadly, are encouraging their children into prostitution. You know, that may be the life that they know. It is not right, but it may be what they know, and they are choosing to follow. Okay, this is the path to go. So the child now, at your age, you may even be an adult, or at some point you become responsible for yourself, and then instead of you to do a U-turn, you know, it's not like Abuja Road where you have to drive to the end of to go and make the U-turn. You know, at the point of realization, you can turn and say, "I am responsible for myself now." I give the society their blame, but going forward, as far as I'm on earth now, I must be responsible for myself and my further actions from this point. So you cannot grovel in your sin. Bask in the joy of the comfort that you know is sin. And then
and lure the responsibility on another person.
Exactly.
I like that.
That's why I started by saying it's a lazy
Unachi is tapping his feet. You know, when grandma they are tapping their legs,
you'll be like, when you hear basking, you know that grandma is.
Dorothy is such a loaded woman. You see, the shifting of blame is the reason why a lot of people are where they are. Maybe unrelated on this. How do you blame a child that was birthed out of wedlock who should be responsible for what he becomes? His mother doesn't care. His father is nowhere to be found. He's just there. He does whatever he feels like. Nobody tells him, don't do it. But guess what? Most of these kids have ended up becoming one of the best minds. Because of what? Choice. One of the greatest gifts you can give to yourself as a person is to sit down and learn. Learning could be formal or informal. And those things will help the decision you will make. What you don't know will keep you caged until you are exposed. You see, what she just said, it's something that, while she was speaking, I was just thinking like, see, society presents us a blank check. It's either you choose to do what they want you to do, or you choose a path that will make impact in the same society. Because at the end of the day, whatever you become, the society will come and say, see, don't use less now. They will say it. But why would you want to sit down and allow the society define what you become and who you become? If your parents were not there or are not there to help you, there's an age, like she defined it, there's an age you get to where decision making becomes your responsibility. There are people that started their life at an early age. They know that, father, I don't have. Mother, I don't have. In fact, there are children that have come from a well-defined home that turns out bad. Would you blame the parents? No, sometimes it's the influences and they themselves. I always tell people this. It will be hard for anybody to influence you without your decision. You can be with people, sorry to say, that are smokers or do different kind of crazy stuff, and you don't do it. You know why you don't do it? You decide on your own. They can even give you and say, take a I don't know what they call it, and you say no. Reason why some people go into fraud. There are people that have gone into fraud and prostitution because their parents pushed them into it. But everybody that goes into certain actions that are against their personal growth and the society, I see it as a foolish decision, and I blame it on the person that carried out the act.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
So I think to a large extent, young people need to also realize that nothing comes easy. Everything is a process. Joseph had a dream, but he went through a process to be able to arrive. Why are we in a hurry? The reason why we have a lot of people not finding themselves is because they are in a hurry to jump the process.
Great. All right. I like that. Another thing, again, I'm going to chip in on that is definition of personal value. A lot of people lose out on that. A lot. When the value of thing is not known, abuse is inevitable.
Yeah.
That comes handy for this session I'm going to open up now. The truth is, a lot of people really cannot define their value. One of the things that helps you to... Identity is everything. With my own line of duty, I consult for brands. There's something called brand identity. Brand identity is simply putting some set of experiences together, either in words, in pictures, or in icons, that when people come in contact with those things, the kind of experience they get from it, retain in them, they tend to relate with your product or services through that means, right? For example, Nigerian identity outside the shores of Nigeria, we all know it. It's not a good one, but it can be corrected. It can be corrected. How can we correct it? One of the things that it's at fault according to our identity as a nation is the responsibility of our leaders. And do you know it didn't start from there? It starts from the lack of taking responsibility from home. Our parents, sorry to say, but I'm just going to say it either as, fail to take responsibility over their shortcomings, especially when they are bringing up their kids. If your parents had called you back at age 18 and tell you, I shall see, the reason why I don't want a man to touch you at that time is because you don't have the knowledge of how to undo men. You have not grown to that level yet. So the best way I can actually stop you from that is to put fear in you. But in the real sense of it, if you touch a man, nothing is going to happen to you until this and this happens. Do you know that some kids are taught sex education with the wrong people? Which means because the parents are scared. Now, another thing I found out recently is some parents lure their insecurities over their kids. They project their insecurities over their kids. Right. So it is very important that we understand values. There are family values, there are societal values, there's personal values too. A lot of people really need to understand what value is. So from your own personal value, you will know what you want. Even if you don't know what you want, it was Fela Drury that said that, at least you will know what you don't want if you can identify what your values are. Yeah. A lot of people don't really know what their values are. So that's why a lot of things, when I was in school, I had a roommate. It's not a roommate, a flatmate, so to say, more like in the same hostel. So my own room is here, their room. So it was the door that demarcated both of us. So these guys are into fraud. Normal Yahoo thing. They were so heavy in it. They were so influencing with the kind of lifestyle they live on campus. As a matter of fact, I became a third-party smoker. Because when they smoke inside their room, because it was a door, So it comes into, there are times that then access to internet has not been this rampant, so they use the cyber cafe. If I have a project, if I have work, I will go to the cyber cafe with them because they are going to have excess time, excess hour time for the system. So when it works to get to a point that is sleepy, it will leave the system for me. Then I will start browsing. So I now found out that, so the guy will even be asking me, okay, so what's the country code for this country? I will tell him, what's the continent of this country, so that he can speak with his Maye or Maga, as it's right? So I was in proximity with these people. Do you know? For once, I've never thought of it that I can, maybe I should give it a try. I've never tried once. Do you know why? It has never aligned to my value. Do you understand? Value proposition is very, very important for human beings too. Yes. Understanding your value. The truth is, if it does not align with your value, it will not pique your interest. I have a couple of friends that are very close. I always look at them, even while growing up, service year, they were heavily invested in this. But I've never given it a thought one day, like, maybe I should try to. But they are balling. But I never thought of it because it never aligns with my value. Now, again, in terms of that parental thing, do you know parents transfer peer pressure from fellow parents on their kids? Oh, can't you see the comparison? Can't you see? So, the moment, that's why growing up now, like we that were having kids now, we want to be very careful. The things we say to our kids.
Yeah.
Sorry to interject.
Yeah,
I
please.
think she slightly mentioned something about knowledge.
Yeah.
I think it's the absence of knowledge that makes you project certain things on your kids.
Yeah.
All right?
Because they can't give what they don't have.
I have two daughters. I would not see a reason why I want to compare them with anyone. There is no reason. Why? I've seen their potentials. I know what they are capable of.
Yeah.
Anywhere they are lacking, I support them. If you create an enabling environment in your home, you build confidence, you strengthen them, you make them realize potentials that, in fact, what they are capable of. There are times I will literally have to let my daughters, my 5-year-old daughter, if she starts to read now, you would think she's 7 or 8. Why? She has access to those things. And she's studying. I will not see another woman's child or another parent that say, why is your daughter or your son not reading? Like that would be stupidity. So knowledge is an important factor in the era that we live in. If your son or your daughter is into prostitution and is buying you gifts and you are trying to project that on me, my first responsibility is to reject it and not to compare my child.
Great, I like that. So I want to chip in something for you guys now. What is the place of, now let's discuss our own peculiar case, which is Nigeria. What is the place of the government in outcome of, or in definition of an identity for a person as a Nigerian, right? Knowing fully well the irresponsibility of our government, the obvious corrupt practices, right? So what, please, I want you to respond to that first.
Let someone else answer that first.
So the right, let's hear from you.
So I'm the one.
Yes.
Why I said someone else should say it is, I've gotten to this point, or almost gotten to the point where I feel I look at it and say, in terms of identity, the government does not owe anybody anything. I've seen that irresponsibility of the government, and I just feel people should take lives into their own hands.
I think I would disagree with you.
Wait. So this is where I'm coming from, right? We've been talking about something that's been constant in the things we're saying: consciousness and choice. And then I feel, as you're growing up, there's a foundation that is laid. Then at a point in time, at a point of your life, you outgrow the foundation that has been laid. At that point, you begin to take responsibilities for yourself, for your actions, and then whatsoever you're becoming. So that's where the nature and the nurture, right? And then you get to that point where I think one of you mentioned something that has to do with that. You're taking responsibility, just plainly, you're taking responsibilities. And then you get to the point where the government needs to provide some things, right? Understandably. But at still the same time, still does not affect your identity. Whatever, if the government provides it or not. There's something you spoke about, people go into fraud. You spoke about values. Your values are your values. You would not say because the government has failed in their responsibility, then you degenerate into a particular lifestyle. It is not going to happen.
Okay, let me hear. Let's hear.
I don't know if she wants to go or you want to go, but why I said I disagree with you is for some very obvious reasons. What the leaders that we have were once ordinary citizens like you and I. If we have the structure, but we lack the legal framework to prosecute for certain actions that are taken. Why do I say this? Recently, I tweeted about the National Orientation Agency that is armed with the responsibility for reorienting Nigerians and helping Nigerians do the right thing. They were dead for like maybe a whole number of years.
Yes, yeah.
But if you've been keen to your television, you will see a lot of their programs running recently. In fact, they have been doing a national debate across the regions. And the winner is going to go home with about 20 million or thereabout. But that's not the most important thing for me. It's the fact that they are standing up to their responsibility to reorient Nigerians, that there's a certain way we are all going that we are not supposed to go. If this information gets down to the average person and the least citizen in our country realize that there are certain things that should not be done. Because one thing I always say is that Nigerians derive joy in doing what is wrong. You know that it is wrong, but you do it. If that has become a norm, and there's an agency of government that have seen that this thing is wrong, we need to fix it. I feel the government have a role to play to fixing issues that concern our citizens that have ultimately either made us go 100 years backward. If we must move forward, government must play a vital role by working hard by first, build the right structure. Let the legal system work. If anybody does something that is wrong, prosecute. Take actions. And I tell you, we will become a better society if government stands up to her responsibilities.
Great. I want to hear your view on that. So.
On this.
Yeah. No, what did you want to say before?
I was going to, when we're talking about parents, when you were talking about comparing, right? So I grew up with my parents, and then I grew up with my brother, right? My brother has 3 kids. And there's something distinct in the way he brought up his kids. So my brother would tell you, don't do this. And this is the reason why you shouldn't do this. Let's use sex education, for example. In my brother's house, he didn't tell his kids, like our parents told us, if you hug a girl, if you hug a man. He actually outrightly told my niece when she was 10, if you have sex with a man, if a man sleeps with you, you will become pregnant. I don't need you to be in a relationship with any person until you are above 18 where you can make an actual choice, because I don't think you're capable of doing this now. My brother was very direct with how he brought up his kids. And he would tell you, there's something, if my nephew does something at home, he would say, I'm your father. I love you so much. I would forgive you. But the society is not that nice to forgive you when you do things. So you must get it right now. It was, and we've said it, if our parents gave us what they thought they could give. There's a song that, what's this lady sang? Is it Taylor Swift? And she said, now I'm older, I've realized my parents were never heroes. Because you now do the things your parents do. So you realize it, oh, okay. They were paying my school fees because it was sort of like their responsibility too. But growing up, oh my God, my father is a hero. He flies in the moon. But you grow up and you become responsible and you realize they were never heroes. They did what they need to do. So if my parent did what they need to do, I owe it to my parent to do what I need to do. You have to make a choice. And the reason why in my brother's house, he would tell his kids, the society would not allow you. It's so that you can actually make a choice. He's giving you the platform to make a choice. Is I love you, I would forgive you. But the society are not that nice to give you a second chance. So you have to decide now, do you want to do good? Or do you want to go out in the society and do bad and they will treat you the way they need to? So first, the parent or the family creates an enabling environment for us to thrive. And with the knowledge of what they have, they would bring us into it. But we also owe it to ourselves. A child would not drink poison. A child of 10 won't pick up sniper and drink. They know it will kill them. So if you're responsible for life, why do you think you don't have the responsibility to make a good choice?
Great. I like that. That was a very good one. And I wanted to believe that you're picking one or two things in this conversation already. And I love it already. So I'm going to bust some bubbles here now. So we want to attack the Cancers, the Aries, the Scorpions,
the aquarium.
Yes.
So is it aquarium? Aquarium. It's not aquarium.
So you are even familiar with it.
Okay, so here is the thing. I love knowledge. Or anything that concerns knowledge, I like to know. So these are basic things.
Oh, they are just basic. The zodiac signs are just basic.
They are not basic to some of us. I've never paid attention to it. Someone asked me one day and said, what's your sign?
What's your horoscope?
I said, are you into that?
All right.
Are you into that?
Yeah, either ways. But now.
So basically, the horoscope is the projection of what you are likely to do. Then the zodiac sign is what you fall under that would tell the horoscope.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so if I'm... Okay, say it's not aquarium. So if I was an aquarium, it means I'm a fish. Sorry, I'm just saying, so if I fall under aquarium, it means I'm supposed to act like a fish. So if I fall under Scorpio, am I supposed to act like a scorpion?
Scorpio.
I know it's Scorpio, but should I act as scorpion?
Okay, so basically, yes, the Scorpio represents stinging. They are very vengeful by their sign.
Yeah.
They are very vengeful. So you would do Scorpio something now. They may tell you they are forgiving you, but you will collect your revenge ahead.
All right, so let me pull it in here now.
Yeah.
Do you have a change of identity before you met Christ or after you met Christ? Now, after you met Christ, did who you are changed? So that's the question now.
Okay.
Now, let's go into this now. I will explain better. You were this, you were that. Now you met with Christ. So did the values change? Did the belief system change? Did the interest change? So let me see. Mini, mani, mo. Who's going to
I like to say something quickly.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so the thing is, right, I love how God does his things. Again, we cannot have this conversation about identity and not talk about choice.
Yeah.
You see, the first thing is acknowledging, right? They did also call you, came out. That's the first step. Then confessing with your mouth. With the mouth, you confess, right? Then you now have, if you read,
They do like they need to stand up to preach. Preach, mama, preach, mama.
So when you have come into this realm, right, you now have daily responsibility, renewal of mind. Be ye transformed by what? By the renewal of your mind. You see, so it says, there were things that were, but they became passed away. All things are passed away. There is a new, right? Yeah. So there are expectations that it's not like as you came outside, you confess Jesus, vroom, then there's a cloth that comes upon you, and then there's a change. And then as you walk home that day, You just,
Throw away your
you know, everything that happens to you from that moment onward just becomes spiritual. No.
Transfer.
You need to make daily choices regardless.
So which means that there is a change of identity.
There is a change, but that change is waiting on you to walk into it. That's my point.
Preach it.
So what you would call the becoming.
Yes, as you view, as you behold, you become.
You're trying to transform.
Transform.
And as you become, you're renewing. You keep renewing.
Because there's no perfection anywhere.
Yeah.
We are made perfect in Him. And that's not an instant thing. That's where
The process.
we become as we behold.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot that happens. Your identity changes when you encounter Christ. All right? And how does that happen? A thief who encounters Christ will not go back to stealing. That's a change of identity. Because sometimes the tendencies might be there. Pick that thing now. But that spirit that is already in you, that new spirit that you have, like, don't. That's bad. Don't. You realize that.
Oh, now so your own spirit is all done.
You know, you realize that the things you used to do, you no more do them. Why? Because there is a new consciousness that you now wear.
Yeah, that's the word.
That has transformed who you were before.
Yeah.
And that's why the Bible says, for behold, all things have passed away. And behold, all things are now become new. So the past is gone. The moment you
Created from the kingdom of darkness.
Yes.
So which means a change of identity. You drop that passport.
yes.
You drop the ID card.
Yeah.
In the kingdom of darkness.
And
So
you
when you
see
get
the
into so they scan you, they take a new biography, a new biometrics.
Not necessarily scanning. I don't, because when you say scanning, you'll be like saying immigration, they go. She said something which for me I think is the most important. If you confess with your mouth,
With your heart.
in fact, that your scanning, everything is done instantly.
yeah.
You know, but there's still work to be done.
Yeah.
That's where the becoming comes to play. So you just
All right. So
Holding.
can we now say that the responsibility of the previous identity can be layered on the new identity? I'll make it better now. A thief previously, right, get into a new identity with Christ, right? So in the process of making restitution, because it's part of the process of salvation, so can it be charged with the responsibility of being a thief when he was a thief? So
I would say, see, the society has rules. There are rules that govern the society, and they stand regardless of where you become. If you move from a Christian to a Muslim, or from a Muslim to a Christian, it doesn't change that if you were a thief and caught as a thief, you must pay for. Jesus paid it all, but he did not pay the price for you to go. He paid it all, yes. In the book of Christ, you are no longer a sinner. But in the society, if you were caught as a thief, and you were prosecuted, taken to court, and they found you guilty, the punishment for stealing, you would go through it even after you've given your life to Christ. That's why you have missionaries go to prison and they ask you, you see someone that they were going to put to death, and they say, give your life to Christ, confess Jesus. If the person gives his life to Christ now, if he's going to be killed now, he would likely be killed now. What has changed is that he would go to heaven. He won't go to hell. But that punishment for killing someone else, he would probably go through it. So knowing Jesus, like she said, it doesn't just change. It doesn't mean that you were, if I knew him as a thief then, if I knew him as a thief before, because he now is in Christ, it would take me a while to believe he no longer steals. Yeah. Even though he's no longer, I would want to watch to confirm, did he actually change? But he knows there's something going on. Humans were not forgiven. We're not Jesus. It's only Jesus that can look and forgive. We remember forever and ever what you used to be. So, like your question, it doesn't automatically, you were a thief, you were caught as a thief, you will go through the punishment according to society rules. But God has totally forgiven you.
Let me add to what she said.
Okay.
there's a law that governs a country,
Yeah.
and there's no religious law. What I mean is, there's no law for you as a Christian, or this set of laws were made just because you are a Christian or you are a Muslim. The Constitution is the foundation for everything that the nation operates on. If I mean to say that you've changed does not mean you were caught in the act. Then you won't go through you go suffer. There were decisions that you made, and unfortunately,
The consequences.
so you have to go through the consequences of the decisions that you made. If the law says that you'll be jailed for 6 months because you got yourself involved in a particular, if those are the stipulated things in the law, you will go through it. But guess what? The new life you now have, whilst you're serving your term, you keep building. As you're coming out a different person. Why? Because you now have a new life, and you believe that life is better than the life you once lived.
Great. I totally love this. And they do me like say make this conversation no end. But we are still going to have a continuation of this conversation. So we're starting with this. But before we go, I would like to have the final word from you as regarding this identity. What do you want to tell the viewers about identity? Like in summary for this.
Just what has been said before. Consciousness and choice. There won't be a winning identity. Let me put it that way. There won't be a successful, great identity without consciousness. And then the choices that you make stems from this consciousness. Several examples in the scriptures, right? We call them the 3 Hebrew boys.
Yeah.
They were in the land of captivity, and they were told, "Oh, we're going to burn you. We're going to do this." But there was a consciousness, right? They said, "Listen, we're not going to bow to your God. That our God will save us."
And even
that's the consciousness. And they said, even if it does not save us, choice. And then they stood with
their stand.
They took their stand. They will call him the prodigal son. He came to the reality, the
realization,
that even the slaves, the servants, my father's house have plenty to eat. Then I will go back to my father. And he took the step, the choice.
Yeah.
And when he got to the father's house, he was welcomed back. So there are several examples in the scriptures that talks about, that just points to the consciousness, helping us to make quality that informs the quality of our choices. So consciousness, number one, choices, and the consciousness dictates the quality of our choices.
Great. Yeah.
I think it's basically same thing. If you have to decide, you must make a choice. Even the choice to not make a choice is a choice. The decision, to not make a choice, it's a choice. If I decide not to do good or to live right, is a choice not to do that. So going forward, we can't be who we are without our choices. And so it boils down to us to make the right choice, regardless of where we come from, how our parents probably brought us up, the way we lived, or what we had. We are now all older, and we now think for ourselves. If I would not kill myself, if I will not harm myself, I think I owe it to myself to do good. And if I owe it to myself to be better, it means I have a choice consciously to make a good, moral, sound, godly decision to live a rightful life.
Yeah, Dorothy.
Okay, so for me, when it comes to identity, I think that you need to ask yourself daily. I think, for me, that's it. You need to ask. There's a consciousness, there's the choice. But you also need to ask yourself daily, what do you represent? What do you represent? And this stems across bars. Go to the filling station example you cited earlier. Go to a filling station. You have an opportunity to tweak something or to say something. What do you represent? In your office, you have an opportunity to whatever your choices are. What do you represent? In your house, before you spike that fee to submit list to your husband, or
that one enter. He enter. That's peculiar. Very, very.
or even as a husband, before you want to twist stories, to misrepresent information to your wife. I mean, I had to do man and wife to be balanced, right? So whatever it is, you just need to ask yourself, what do you represent? Everywhere, each and every day. It will inform your identity. We're talking about who you are, what you are. It is still about your choices and what you hope to get at the end of your race.
Yeah, thank you. Unachi, please, let's hear from you.
I think it's been an insightful one, learning from everyone. What I would say is, sit down, think about the future. Again, think about the future, because in 10 years, in 5, 10, 20 years, whatever decision you make today will speak for you.
Aisha.
All right, for me, I've learned so much here. I've learned so much in terms of the age, or which age that I need to, or what I need to present to my child for each age. I think I've learned that from here. Yeah. So I know what information I need to put out for my child of 2 years, 10 years, for the reality. But then I think identity, like you said, choice. What do you stand for? There's pressure everywhere, like the pressure choke now. So irrespective of the pressure out there, we as human, we have choice from God. Follow this path or follow this path, right? Irrespective of the pressure out there, what are you standing for? Do you want to stand in for? Do you want the pressure to throw you off balance to find yourself there? Or you want to follow this path, want to follow the God path that subdues the pressure and then leads you on the better path. So it boils down to choice. It boils down to what you stand for, your personality. You are an ambassador for who exactly. So I think that's what leads you
Great.
to. That's
nice.
What leads you to
So, to cap it up completely, Dorothy was saying who you represent. And for us on this side, we are in the kingdom. And the ruler of this kingdom is Christ. Yeah. And we are Christ's ambassador. And we have chosen to identify with him. So in anything we do, I want to admonish us to ensure that we represent our King, who is Christ himself, in as little. And representing Christ, it doesn't demand of us to be him, to go to the cross and die again. He just wants us to take a daily conscious effort of ensuring that you communicate what he stands for, his value, which is what? Love. Communicate it as little and consistent as it can be. It's the wrap for us on this edition of the Convo, and I want to believe that you guys are having great time already. So you don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube channel and put up on your notification in case any new episode drops, and you can keep rewatching. I know it's going to bless you real good. Share the link to your loved ones, even your kids. You can share the link with them. They will be blessed by this particular episode. And it's a wrap from my own end. Thank you guys for coming around. Thank you. But the mood is quite being serious. I don't know why. It's because the identity.
I think that the conversation is actually a very deep one.
Yeah.
So we need to revenge the
identity. Our face comes strong.
We need to identify the main,
identify us.
We need to identify.
All right. Same time, same venue, same channel. And I remain your good host for today, Wale the Legend. I'll see you